All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Stock Analysis Friday. My name is Bennett McDowell of TradersCoach.com, and once again, great to be here today. All right, so purpose of Stock Analysis Friday, of course, is to look up stocks you're interested in. And let's go ahead and start typing them in whenever you're ready into the comments area. And type about 3 at a time and make them all caps. And then tell me if you're long, short, or whatever your situation is with the particular stock. That way I can kind of customize my presentation for you on that. I'm going to be using technical analysis to do that. Also, we use the art trading software as well. And we look for trends in the market and certain pullbacks at certain times and so forth. All right, so today is what, March 20th? All right, we're trucking right along in the new year. And if you have any trouble with the audio or video, let me know, because usually I'm the last one to know if something goofs up like that. So let me know. All right, so I'm going to go full screen here, and we'll go ahead and go through some administrational items I need to go through as well. Hey, before I get going, let me just put a quick link up there. We have a free VIP area that you can join, even if you're watching the recording. I'll put this link down below. But basically, we got a lot of free stuff on there. For example, we have the Trader's Assistant cards on there where you can keep track of your actual trades as you take them, and a whole bunch of free stuff there. So articles and so forth, and some things from Stocks and Commodity Magazine where I used to get interviewed and write articles there as well. All right, so let me go through this administrational items. First thing, of course, we have to talk about the risks involved in trading, and to let you know that look at this webinar as educational purposes. You know, we're not financial. This is not financial advice, basically. So keep that in mind. Always check with your financial advisor. Even if we have a great stock, and we can always come across a few really good opportunities, still run those by your financial advisor or whoever, you know, manages your money, so to speak, and just make sure it's suitable for you. I don't know your personal situation. They certainly should. So that's step one. Next step is to always trade with money you can afford to risk, called risk capital. And then also, past performance doesn't guarantee future performance in the markets. We deal in a realm of probabilities. So when you take each trade, make sure you know what your risk is going into the trade, okay? And if you need help with that, you know, I've done many seminars and webinars on risk control. You can find that on our YouTube channel. All right, so I have some books available as well on risk control that may interest you. Elliott Wave as well. I also just came out with my second edition with my publisher Wiley called The Art of Trading, second edition. And it's about a 608-page book, and it's got pretty much everything you need to know, including risk control and including some Elliott Wave in there. So if you're looking at one book, that's probably the best one to get. And then if you want to, you know, go into specific areas in more detail, we have the other books available, all on our Amazon page. And again, I'll put the link below in the recording area. Likewise, our software also is widely used in the marketplace. It's being used in over 85 countries right now worldwide. We have it being used by hedge funds, and we have it being used by private individuals as well, so institutional and private. It deals with charting software, scanners, and risk control software. So we kind of make it a complete package in terms of what you need to organize your trading. So I'll put a link in the recording if you want to learn more about that as well, or you can go to our website. And then finally, take a quick second, give us a like out there, all right? And then I just want to jump into a couple other things that we have real quickly. You know, we have something called the MOR report, and this is something I do each and every week. I take a lot of pride in this because not only do I update you on all the markets, including Bitcoin and real estate, but I also have stock opportunities in here. And I know many of you here already probably are already subscribed to it. But for those that don't, if you're looking for some guidance and what's going on in the markets, and also too, I cover all the indexes, the S&P, NASDAQ, and so forth, and Dow. But it also gives you stock opportunities that you can trade each and every week as well. And I update this every Sunday, so you're ready to go Monday. And I also put a video in there going over the stock opportunities and what's cooking. Also, too, we just did our Saturday trading education workshop for March. So our next one is in April, and it's in the second Saturday of each month. Last month, we did cover risk control. So if you need help in that area, check it out. It's on YouTube. Watch it. Next month, we're going to deal with risk control specific to prop fund trading. So if that is something you're into, tune in for that as well. All right, and then finally, a quick update on Bitcoin. This is BTC USD. This is an example of what I do in the MOR report, just to give you an idea here. And basically, we do a pretty detailed analysis on this stuff. And what I wanted to point out here with Bitcoin, a couple things. One is in terms of the Elliott wave count, we had a 3 here. We still think we're diving into a wave 4. We had a retracement area circled here. This is the weekly chart here. So we kind of, popping up here a little bit, and then we think we're going to head back down, take out liquidity here, and complete the correction. So our correction actual target zone here is right around 55,000, possibly down to 43,369, with the most likely being around the 50,000 to about 54,000 mark right there, because that's where your order block is on the daily chart, and that will take out equity on the weekly chart. So kind of think that's where it's heading at this point, plus some of our indicators, for example, like the PTF, which has almost a 90, well, it has about a 70% accuracy rate, which is pretty darn good in the markets, is indicating more lows beyond this. So you just find the lowest low in the red area, and there's a 70% chance we're going back down there, okay? So keep that in mind. Actually, 75%. All right, so keep that in mind. All right, so we're kind of still bearish on that. Any bullishness we're seeing in Bitcoin, we think is going to be short-lived. It's kind of a bullish bounce in a bearish trend that's not quite over yet. All right, so I just want to cover that real quick, and I want to come out of here now, and let's see what you guys got cooking. All right, Ed, we'll start with you. How are you? All right, LEU. Let's see what we got cooking here. Potential longs. All right, so we looked at this, I think, before, maybe last week, right? So definitely one we want to keep an eye on, all right? We've got green PTFs at the bottom. That's these indicators here. So it's looking for more highs. And what's that high? We'll probably take out the 460 range. All right, so that's our target. So the question is, we kind of want to get in when the momentum shifts to the upside. Hasn't quite shifted yet dramatically enough. And so here's what we want to think about. These little red areas here are fair value gaps. And they represent usually some type of institutional order flow. Okay, so we have it here and we have it here. Remember, this is the weekly chart. This is the daily chart. So a longer term look and a more shorter or intermediate term look on whatever we're analyzing. So far we've seen some rejection off that. We've got some sell side liquidity represented by this line right here. So I'm a little suspect. I'd like to see that get taken out and then a reversal after that. Or I would like to see us break through this fair value gap that's bearish, because that would invalidate it and indicate a very strong move to the upside. So we have to be a little more patient on this one. Okay, it's not quite ready, but we do want to keep an eye on it. So thank you for coming back with this. And let's put this on a watch list. But we have to wait for the market to actually finish its unraveling here on this one. Okay, let's take a look at LUMN. And believe me, if we look at that every week, you're not going to miss it. Okay, so you'll be fine with that. All right, PTF's great. Okay, so a couple things on the PTF. PTF does not indicate that we're in an uptrend. It indicates that more highs should follow at some point. And that means after a correction, however small or large. Okay, now if it abruptly changes color from a green to a red, for example, then that's the 25% time it's wrong. So it's still green. So it's indicating target areas are up here. All right. And we're not quite there yet. for this correction. So we're starting to see a little bit of consolidation here, which is good. All right. But we haven't seen a change in trend yet. So let's hold off a little longer on this one as well. All right. And see if we can get some movement up in a dramatic way. Okay. So hold off on that for a little bit longer as well. And you can put this one on a watch list to bring back next week. But I like LEU better than this one. Okay. All right. Thank you. I think that's it for that one. All right. Sue, let's go over here. And Lowell, how are you? ExxonMobil, XOM. Let's see. Curious Long. Okay. And happy Friday. Happy Friday to you too. All right. So moving to the upside. All right. And so far it's in an uptrend. I don't know if you're long, you're curious about these. Okay. So probably not long, but you're thinking about it. I kind of would wait for the pullback at this point. Okay. I think probably we're still heading higher. The PTF, okay, is still penned out here. So that's not really, forecasting any high greater than the current high of today's weekly price bar. All right. So that's not going to help you that much. Measured move is indicating 205 up here, but I think we'll probably get a pullback before getting quite that high. So we got a really strong wave 3 owl here. So highs are pretty, I would say, certain as you can be. The question is, do you want to chase the market here, or do you want to wait for a pullback? And personally, I like to wait for the pullbacks, okay? In other words, this pyramid here did a great job getting you in around the 120 mark, but now you're at 160. So you're getting a little bit up there, and which is more than 50% above the possible move to the upside here. So I would kind of hold off on that, okay, unfortunately. But I do think it's got more room to go. Just let's wait for a pullback. All right, CSV. All right, let's see what's cooking here. No green PTFs. Kind of got a messy market. We have a bearish pyramid trading point forming here and a bearish fair value gap here that has held. I would hold off on this. Nothing on this. Let's take a look at FANG. All right, bang. Let's see. Okay, this one's moving up nicely. Just got a green PTF on the weekly. And this red one is very close to turning green, but has not done so yet. All right, so basically at this particular point, wait for the pullback, okay, on these. So all three of these, just you need to wait for a pullback on that, okay? All right, let's go on here. Ed, back with MP, potential long. Okay, green PTF. I like the retracement area, but it hasn't finished retracing. Okay, so let's let this play out. We got a double bottom right here. So think about and look at this move up here. Got a lot of sell side liquidity here. So I wouldn't be surprised if they take that out. And then also too, you got a big gap down here. I would say they're probably going to take that out before going higher. Plus you got a bearish price bar closing the week out with some wicks up here. So no go on that one, but it will be once we take sell side liquidity out and see a reversal. A little more patience on that one. CLS, let's take a look at that one. Okay, so let's see what we got cooking. Green PTFs on both. That makes it a lot simpler, right? We had a channel here. We broke down and now broke back into the channel. So I'm just going to remove these lines for just, I'll only keep that line up there because that is the PTF upward area there. So there was the channel kind of there. All right, couple things on this. One is we have a big bearish fair value gap on the daily chart that so far has been respected. All right, so we haven't closed above it. And technically, I'd like it to get above here before getting too excited. So let's be a little more patient on this one, unfortunately, as well, or fortunately. It's not quite proven that we've begun a uptrend off this low. And notice no fair value gaps that are bullish over here, okay? And none here, but a long wick here. So I think maybe it's still correcting at some point. So we'll see. What I'd like to see is if it's done correcting, I'd like to see it spring up and put a fair value gap here, close above here. And then that is a inverted fair value gap, which is very strong signal. So at this point, no, okay? This one you can put on a watch list as well. All right. Anything else out there? Going once, going twice. All right, as you know, interest rates were held steady. That was not a surprise. Market was kind of expecting that. So that really didn't offset the market too much. It's basically, it's the Middle East that's, causing all the turmoil at this point. But stocks have actually, I know they've come down a little bit, but they've actually maintained a pretty solid footing here, considering everything that's been going on. All right, let's take a look. Zen Trader at Netflix, NFLX. Okay, so we're gnawing down into this big fair value gap here, and we came right down here. This is a kind of a tricky one because you got a red PTF on the weekly and a green one on the daily, and a huge fair value gap off that. Couple things that are a little concerning, okay, is obviously this. I like this, but unfortunately, because this is red, I want this to clear out this fair value gap bearish one here. So I wouldn't take a long until I got here, okay? And if you think about it, all right, the structure's been down. We really haven't taken out any structure, so to speak, on the weekly and also on the daily. In other words, we haven't really had a change in structure yet. All right. Yes, we had this moving up, but I can tell you, I've seen manipulation legs like this, and then they fall right back down. So I'm a little skeptical on this right now. We had a bearish pyramid form in here as well. I would not jump into this. Okay. We haven't gotten a bounce off this yet. And we have red PTF here. And we usually get a hook. In other words, we usually get something like this before it goes. So this I call like a hook, one last move down. You really haven't gotten that. It's usually like an ABC type of thing. So I'm not so sure on this one. We went right down to the order block here, which is bullish. Okay, we bounced off that. Now I want to see this rejected. When I say that, the fair value gap, and get above this bearish fair value gap there. So let's bring this one back next week, but I would not do anything with this. Okay, it's a little iffy. Take a look at Uber here. All right, let's see what we got cooking here. Red PTF here. We did have a little bounce there. Let's see how we're doing on this. Okay, so my only concern with this one is that we had a rejection from this fair value gap here. That's a bearish price bar, so to speak. We took this out here. Pyramid does have a long position, but we wouldn't take it because of the red PTF. So stand down on this one a little longer, okay? No go in that one. All right, thank you. All right, let's see. Oh, you got a couple more. Good. All right, U. Okay, green PTF, yellow PTF there on the weekly. We're kind of getting into, this is setting up to be pretty interesting, all right? But it hasn't changed trend yet. So we got to wait. So it's gnawing into some really key fair value gaps here. It did sweep equity here. Okay. So in other words, took equity out here. And you can see that also on the weekly chart. And then we've been heading down. All right. So now we're going to see if these fair value gaps can stop it. All right. Or not. And we need to wait for a turnaround. And for right now, you know, if you simply just drew a channel down like this, a trend line there, you know, you got to wait for a break in the trend line. And I'd like to see a fair value gap, a bullish one here, pull back into that and then go. And that could be your first pyramid as well. All right. So just hold off on that one. But we can put that one on the watch list because it's setting up. Okay. All right. DAR. All right. Too far gone. Okay. Too far gone. This would have been a great entry on the breakout down in here when you had a pyramid at 38, even had one at a little lower than that on the daily. Wait for the break in the channel and then you could go. All right. But too late now. Wait for the pullback. It's going higher most likely, but we're starting to see some wicks up here. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get a pullback and that may be your opportunity to get in then. Let's take a look at NET. All right, so this is pulled back, and now surging up again. All right, so this nice rejection off these fair value gaps. Did not get quite down into this one, but that's okay because look, see, here's what I like about this is when you get a bottom here and a bounce off this, look, that's a bullish fair value gap. That is a strong signal of usually institutional order flow to the upside, or at least a lot of volume and momentum shift. So that's a good thing. Took out any bearish pyramids left on the chart. And so now, and also too, we're closing above this bearish fair value gap here. So that's bullish. I like this. We got a pyramid here. All right. No PTFs to help us here on where it's going. But let's just take a little look here real quick and see where it could be going. All right, so we took out that, we took out that. All right. Not exactly the best configuration I see, but let's just take a look and see what this is showing us here. So it's showing us probably 264 up to possibly into the 300s on that, on a fib extension. So I'm thinking, yeah, I think you could go on this. And the next question is, where do you want to put your stop? And I think you got to put it, pyramid is a possibility, but I'm looking for order block. Shouldn't go lower into this order block here. Let's draw a fib here. Okay, there's the start of the order block there. I'd say you'd have to put this probably under this area here, around 177. The pyramid is good provided you don't get a pullback. Okay, that's the only concern. But it looks like it's good that you had a pyramid, you had a fair value gap there, so you should get another shoot to the upside. So this could be setting up for institutional order flow drill here. And if that holds, then you're good. So I think what I would do is I'd put it on a pyramid, okay? That's okay, because you have an order block here, and you do have a fair value gap here. So that's a good sign. So pyramid should be good. And then your target should be the top, 260. All right, so look, we can put this one down as a buy, okay? NET, this is okay. With a stop at the, that's a nice risk to reward, putting the stop down, okay? So good one, okay? Got one. All right, let's take a look at this one, Ed, for you, SYM. All right, potential long. Let's see what we got. So we took out the sell side liquidity here. This order block held here. We don't have any bullish fair value gaps yet off the move, and it's just a little early, okay? So not yet. All right, Zen Trader, SQQQ. I think we looked at this one last week as well. All right, so we're having a little bit of a move off its bottom here. Got to be careful with these triple inverse ETFs. They move quick, in both directions. So if you get it wrong, it moves quick against you. If you get it right, it moves quick with you. All right, so we just got, we broke the bearish pyramid down here, okay? We've got pyramids now. We're breaking out of the channel here. We've got an upper channel here. So we also got a bullish fair value gap here. So we don't quite yet have a super change in trend yet on the weekly, okay? So keep that in mind. We do have one breaking out of here with a high up here that it has to break as well. So if you wanted to go long on this one, just put your stop here at the pyramid, okay? So 70.82, a little under that. Okay, so that's 71.08. So, you know, yeah, about 70, I put it at 70.60, right around that area for your stop, okay? And then what I would do is I would go up with it and try to target this area in here. Just, you know, draw a quick 50% retracement and see if that's your target. You're only going to make this if the NASDAQ sells off, okay? So if the high is in on the market, then this will do well on the sell-off. If this is a temporary lull in the NASDAQ due to what's going on overseas, then once that clears up, you might see the markets rebound and then you get stopped out on this, okay? So you gotta think about that. But in terms of technical analysis, we're out of the channel, so you could take it, put your stop nice and tight under this pyramid. You can't get it much better than that. So yeah, let's put that on as a buy with a tight stop under here in case it's a fake breakout, okay? And it'll be the same thing with the SPXS, I'm sure, okay? Yep, same thing, okay? So again, we'll put this down as a buy as well. Same type of reasoning. Okay, remember, these are inverse, okay? So keep that in mind. Let me just see if you've taken out this pyramid up here yet. That's a high of 40.93. That's a high of 41. So you haven't taken out the bearish pyramid yet. You may want to wait for that. But you've got green PTFs and you've got a break in the channel here. Okay, so you're in pretty good shape for a long trade. And then I put my stop, all right, under this most closest pyramid. Okay. All right, let's take a look at gold. Waiting for a pullback in gold. Okay, we're getting it in silver. We thank goodness got it. This is why, let the weekly chart load. This is why I was telling you not to buy until you have a pullback. And so it looks like we're getting that now. The weekly chart's still taking its time to refresh here. So, yeah, so it hasn't reversed yet. We got a big fat bearish PTF on the daily chart. So wait and let's see this pullback kind of complete here. I don't know why gold is taking so long on the weekly, but it does that. So in any case, based on the daily, you want to hold off on gold, okay? Let's go ahead and put SERV. A little trouble with our weekly chart here. I don't know why. All right, let's see. Let's see if I can do this. Let's create a duplicate in a new tab. We'll slide that over as a separate chart. Duplicate in new window. Move to new window. Okay, so let's try this and see if we can bypass the stuck chart over there. Oh, starting to refresh now. Hold on. Okay, we're good. All right, so let's check this out here. We got a weekly and a daily. Okay, SERV. Green PTFs on both. Kind of a little bit of a messy market here, and I don't see yet a turnaround. So I'll hold off on that one, okay? Let's take a look at AMD. Okay, so nice gnawing into the fair value gap here on the weekly chart, and a little bit of rejection there. I'm liking that. Green PTFs. Let's just see here. All right, you got a pyramid forming here, which is great. This is an MP, okay? You got another one here. This will be an MP here. I want to get over here, and I would like to get over this pyramid here. We don't have any, got a small bullish fair value that was disrespected here. You see that? And then another one, and that was disrespected. So that's actually bullish, okay? So that and the fact that they disrespected that is bullish. But we need to see some follow through. They're a little early. All right, so I would hold off on this. I'd like it to go, maybe take this out one more time on the fair value gap, but I don't know if it will. So let's just give it another week. Bring that one back, okay? That's AMD. All right, let's take a look at Eli Lilly here. Okay, yeah, still pulling back. This at some point, probably when it gets down a little further here, will be a nice, getting into a nice fib retracement already. I don't think it's quite done. So we got a bearish fair value gap here. Let's let it go down. We got a little bit more imbalances in here to fill. So, you know, basically bring this one back, okay? It will be a good at some point, okay? All right, let's take a look at Microsoft. All right. Still downtrending. Okay. It's too late to go short, too early to go long. So no go on that one. Take a look at Cisco. Look at all these pyramids here. Pyramids are great when you have a channel and you see all these blue colored pyramids. That's basically isolating the channel. You got a narrow channel here and you got a larger channel up here. And you have 1, 2, 3. So whichever way it breaks out, those pyramids will change, okay? But let's see what we got cooking here. All right, so looks like we got probably one more high, but we may have a little bit more of a correction in place. So you don't want to be in here, okay? Hold off. All right, let's wait and see what happens with this. Take a look at KO, Coca-Cola. All right. Same with these. Hold off, okay? It's trending down. Probably get down maybe to around 72 before we see any type of turnaround. So hold off on this one, okay? And then LMT. And again, similar thing. You've got a pullback in place here. You know, again, if you draw a trend line, there's no reason to be long here yet, okay? And you have a bearish long-term time frame, okay? All right, MVST, a little revisit on this bad boy here. All right. Okay, still heading down. Big bearish bar on the weekly chart, bearish fair value gaps. Interesting. Okay, here's your order block down here on the weekly. Okay, let's see. We also have sell side liquidity here. So let's see if we hold here or not. That kind of tends to be pretty bearish when you have a situation like this and one here. So if this order block holds, then we want to see a bullish fair value gap on the bounce. So just bring it back. We don't see that yet. Okay. Okay. Huge bearish manipulated price bars on the weekly chart. Okay. Whenever you see a wick like this, there are stuck traders. Okay, meaning that many people went long here. Institutions were glad to sell to them there, and now they're stuck. So if this comes down, you'll see a short squeeze come into play here. Fair value gap, consequence encroachment sitting here. I imagine we're heading into that area. So just hold off on this, okay? And then PATH. Okay. Not turned around enough yet. Okay. So no go on that one. Bring those back though. Okay. BLDP. You know, this is what trading's all about. It's finding the best setups, and most of them won't be that great, right? It can't be that easy. All right, so let's see what this one looks like. Nice fair value gap. This is what I love to see when you have a bottom put in and you have a bounce. These fair value gaps is what you want to see. Okay, so we got that. Now, let's take a look at a couple other things here. We don't have a red PTF anymore. And notice that we had equity taken. We swept sell side liquidity right here. We had an order block over here. Which held, okay? So we had a lot of things going for it. We broke structure here. Now we're pulling back here. We have a fair value gap here. I don't think we'll go back down to this one, but I think maybe we'll go into this one. Let me take a look at the weekly chart. Green PTF, a bounce off this. After the end of this week, you'll have a bullish fair value gap here. Did get a little rejection here, so I imagine we're going to come down into this area here. So here's what you want to look for. You want to look for consequence encroachment here on the fair value gap. You want to look for a bounce off there, all right, at that particular point, because that then would hold on this one as well. Okay, so yeah, I'm liking it. I think at this point, this is one of the best ones to put on the holding list for next week. So we want to put BLDP with a star under the watch list, because I think you want to go long on this if this fair value gap holds. Okay, and then that might set up also for a pyramid to the upside. So I'm liking everything about this. It's just pulling back a little bit right now, okay? And we want to make sure this holds, because this is a bearish pin bar on the weekly chart. And I want to make sure if this does not hold, then it's going to make another low before it bounces. But this setup here indicates the bottom is in. Okay? That's one of the best one setups coming. All right. All right, let's take a look at VG. Entry for a long. Okay, so we got above the fair value gap. See how this market disrespected that fair value gap? And look at it forming fair value gaps here and here on the bounce. That's what you want to see. And then you got one here too. All right, so the question is it too late to get in? And unfortunately, there's not a lot of history on this one, is there? So that kind of throws a works in to get some price history on that for context. All right, so we passed this here. Took out that, we took out that. I got to say, I'm going to stand down on this one. There's just not a lot of history, and I think we're getting in a little late. I'd like to have a little bit of a pullback on this. I think basically some people will go long right now, okay, because we got above the bearish fair value gap. If you do that, you got to put your stop in this pyramid here, okay? And I guess the target would have to be about 19 bucks, okay? So you're not talking about a ton of room here. So that's kind of why I'm not that crazy about it. All right, let's take a look at MEOH. Curious long for Lowell here. Okay, too late. Okay. Wait for a pullback. All right, VIV. Let's see what we got cooking here. Okay. Bullish fair value gap. We have a pullback there being respected. Green PTFs. All right, but bearish. At this point, you have bearish pyramids. And let's just take this quickly here. Okay, the 50% mark is right at that order block there. Okay, it's setting up to be a good long. What I would do is turn this into a bull flag. I would just do this, and if we close above that, go long and put your stop wherever the lowest price bar in that pullback is, okay? So I would not go into this yet. But it could be a bull flag. All right, BSKY or PSKY. All right. No long yet. Okay. We have to have a change in order flow here. We don't have it yet. Okay. Here's a great example. Remember that other stock we looked at? And I said you have to be careful if you don't have that hook yet. You remember that one? You can have deception in the market, manipulation, and it can appear institutional order flow manipulation can cause fair value gaps in the opposite direction. All right. And that's what you got here. But you see, you had no change in structure yet. You really didn't. Okay. It would have to get above this high here for you to have any change in structure. You didn't even get above here. Okay. So, and barely got above this one little price bar there. So that's why when you see this type of behavior here, if you didn't have the right side of the screen on here, and it looked like the, well, I can't even get it over there. But if you didn't see, if you just saw the bullish price bars here, all right, for you to go in here without a clear change in structure, all right, is kind of violating one of the rules. So you'd wait for a pullback into the fair value gap and then a bounce off it. And here's where your pyramid could form there. But also, too, then you respect the fair value gap here. So we didn't get that. Okay. You don't have a change in structure. So no go on this one. All right, RGTI. Let's see what we got cooking here. All right, we're right down at the weekly order block, which is right down in here, okay? So we got green PTF, but we don't have a turnaround yet. Take that low out yet, pretty much. Yeah, we just don't have a turnaround yet, okay? So bring it back. We'll take a look at it next week as well, okay? QUBT. Same thing, no turnaround yet, okay? We looked at this last week because there's our trend line on the weekly chart. We just don't have a turnaround yet. QBTS. Yeah, they're pretty much all the same. All right, so we're right at the order block here. So that's interesting. So we could see a turnaround, but we don't have one yet, okay? So none of those are ready yet. All right, let's take a look at Tesla here. I want to get one of those Optimus 3s, one of those robot things. Those look pretty cool. All right, so let me just redraw that. Okay, so we're coming down into the weekly fair value gap. But once again, we haven't gotten the change in trend yet. Got an order block sitting here. Let me draw that in. And let's see if that holds or not, okay? So no go on Tesla yet. And we have a respected, okay, we have a respected bearish fair value gap and so far a respected bullish one on the weekly chart. We have red PTFs on both. All right, and it looks bearish to me, okay? So when you have two opposing fair value gaps, do nothing. All right, it may trend, but that looks bearish to me. And we have a bearish fair value gap here so far that's been being respected. So, you know, when you get to a situation where things aren't lining up the way you want them to in terms of looking at all these things, stand back, okay? You don't have a change in trend either yet, and you don't have a change really in too much structure yet. You'd have to get above here. You did have a little internal change in structure here, okay? We did get that, but we don't have anything significant on the weekly chart. All right, let's take a look at Google. And the NASDAQ's still heading down too because of all these tech stocks now kind of in correction phase. All right, so again, little rejection off the fair value gap, but no great follow through. No bullish fair value gaps after the rejection. And you have one fair value gap here. We did sweep equity here. That's a good sign for a bullishness. I'd like it to break structure again. In other words, go back up here. And then you can target this here, this next PD array up here, fair value gap there, okay? I'm a little skeptical of this because it didn't correct that much. So I could see it going up to this PD array here, selling off one more time, maybe taking equity here, and then going back up. All right. But we'll see. This also could be a bull flag opportunity because we really don't have a good hook yet. So if we get above this for a bull flag, that may be something to take note of, especially since we had a fair value gap there. I would take a trade there. All right. I would wait for that here because we don't have the hook yet. So something like that. Okay. And you want to have a close. So you don't really have you. I wouldn't go long on a bearish price bar. I'd redraw it right there. If you get a close above that trend line on the weekly, then that's pretty good. And I'd take a partial here and target above here. Okay. That one you could do. Okay. But not yet. All right. All right. Let's take a look at NOW. Good job, everybody. All right. NOW. Okay. No change in structure to speak of yet. And boy, the pyramids did a damn good job coming down there. Look at that weekly chart. Boom. Okay, so red PTFs indicating more lows, and we don't have a significant. This was disrespected. Notice this bullish fair value gap didn't hold. All right, so that's bearish. So at this particular point, hold off. Okay. We could go up a little higher into this area here, but I don't think it's worth a trade at this point. MVTS. Okay, this was respected up here, fair value gap. This is, we talk about using price action with the art software, right? So if you have a pyramid that's butting up against a bearish fair value gap, wait until prices get above that before acting on the pyramid, okay? That would be my advice on that. So that's how you could combine price action with the art software. So when you're in agreement, that's really good, okay? If you have a situation here where you have a bearish fair value gap and respected off that, and it didn't get above it, then I would hold back on that, okay? All right, ANKR, so no go on that one. Setting up to be a go, but no go yet. All right, so we got to get over that bearish fair value gap. All right, so on this one here, we swept equity here, okay? Another equity level here and an order block down here. All right, we came up here, got above the bearish pyramid even with a wick, but the body did close above it. So that's a good sign. I would say probably on this one here, got a lot, again, if you think about it, it's going up quite a bit. So you have to be careful of an A, B, C could be over. We could be making a high here. We're still in a 3 here. So we may not be going into a major 4 there. So again, if you wanted to draw something like that for a bull flag on the weekly, wait until you get a close above here. So that's going to be around 50. All right. And then you could even wait for above here. But that could be a possibility. But again, there's things aren't lining up exactly the way I'd want them to. You do not, I don't like this bearish fair value gap here that's held. And I don't like the fact that it's just not nice and neat. Okay. And a huge wick up here, which not necessarily means anything. I've seen prices climb above that, but that's also bearish. Okay. So you're fighting some things on that. So too many things to fight. Find something else. MU. Okay. Notice how recently on this high, PTFs just turned to neutral. Okay. So they were right up until this high now. So that's usually an indication momentum is slowing down. We have bearish divergence in the owl here. All right. pretty strong owl here. So I would imagine this move up will continue, but you're kind of on borrowed time and you're late. Okay, so I would wait for the significant pullback on it. Okay. All right. Well, we looked at quite a few, didn't we? Anything else? I'll give it just a moment here, and then I'll go over kind of what we saw here. So I got 3 here. Okay, Oracle, good. All right, let's take a look at Oracle. Okay, so Oracle, are you thinking of a short on Oracle, or is the short just on WFC? I think probably just WFC. All right, so let's see where we're going here. We got a red PTF, all right? So that's an indication, and a green PTF over here. Let's see what we got cooking here. You had a close below the bullish here and a red PTF there. So I think no go on this yet. We don't have enough bullishness in the market yet. I don't like the fact that it's closing below that fair value gap there. Okay. So hold off on this one. WFC. Okay, short on this one. Let's see where we think it's going. Short, that's looking good there. Whoops. All right, give me a second. Look at that right there. Okay, do we have a change in structure? The answer is yes. Where do we have it? Right here. Okay. That's your first change in structure right there. 2 things happened in the weekly chart. We went below the bullish fair value gap here, changed in structure, created a bearish fair value gap that was respected on this price bar. You see that? All right. So the short would have been here. Okay. Now, the next question is where it's going. All right. So, all right. I would imagine, you've got a situation here. Where are you going to put your stop is the question. It's got to go at least here or here. Okay. So you got to give it some room. Don't have your stop too close. So the target on this is probably, first target would be here. Okay. And then here. And then here. So yeah, you could go short on this. Now, a couple ways you could do this. You could make this a bear flag. Okay. Start to see a little rejection off that. But there's a possibility it could go into this fair value gap before coming back down. So you got to have your stop high enough. And this may not even be high enough here. Okay, you might have to have it up here, right where that pyramid is. Pyramids do a good job hunting those down for you. Okay. So here's the problem, okay, with this. If you put it up the pyramid here, your risk to reward is pretty small. Okay. You have to target down here. Okay. You want to take a partial here, I guess you could, but target here and here. So yeah, I'll put that down as a short. Put the target in the 50s. Okay. All right, let's go. Oracle, thinking short 2. Okay, on Oracle. Yeah, I think on Oracle here, all right, probably target would be here on this. It's almost like a double bottom across the range here. So let's see here. No, hold on, give me a second. So that's your target. You have a green PTF, which probably will be okay once you take out sell side liquidity down here. So your shorter term aspect is to take this out here. So you got a potential of what? 155 to 120, so 35 with a stop. You got to put your stop above this price bar now. And even that, technically it should be here because you don't have a new bottom yet. So technically here. So it's kind of a little late maybe for that. But I could see a short possibility with sell side liquidity down here. I'm not going to put it on the buy list because I think your stop's got to go here. If we take this low out here, then you can move it down here. But to put it here, right there, right now, okay, what happens is you could get one more move up, stop you out, and then go down. Whereas this is a change in structure for sure, okay? So your stop would be safest there until we hit one more low. So I'm saying no. I think the better play on this, let this play out, take out sell side liquidity, look for a rebound, fair value gap, pyramid, and then go long, take it back up here, and that should satisfy that. So short term, one more little leg down, but I think you're close to the bottom. Also, too, you've had 3 pushes, 1 push, 2 push, 3, okay? So a short trade after 3 pushes down is a little risky, okay, to say the least. All right, so I would not be short. I'd instead be patient and possibly look for a long once that sell side liquidity is taken out. All right, anybody else? Boy, good session. Going once, going twice. I'll review all these in just a minute. I think that's it, right? Okay. We don't see any more coming in. Great job today, guys. Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. All right, so let me just go over the results from today. Okay, so ones that you can take is NET to the long side. And then you got the ETF 3Xs, okay? You got the SQQQ and the SPXS. Be careful on those, okay? They move quick, and the only way you're going to make money on that is really if the indexes take a plunge, okay? So, you know, you got to kind of realize that. But they, from a technical standpoint, they're set up for a long trade, and there's a place to put your stop to protect you. And so, yeah, they were okay to take to the long side. Then you have WFS, which is a short trade. All right, so we covered that. On the watch list, the best one is BLDP, okay? Please bring that one back because that one is close, okay? But we have LEU, LUMN, CLS, Netflix, NFLX, UUUU as well. So quite a few on the watch list. So that kind of tells me that the market is not quite done correcting. I think on most of these, it looks like it has a little more downside, especially in the NASDAQ, which means those inverse NASDAQ and S&P 500 probably will go up. All right, so I think a little further down, and then we're going to have to see if we get any type of equity taken, sell side liquidity taken rather, and a reversal up that has momentum behind it. So we'll kind of see. So come back next week. We'll bring them back and take a look at it. This way you won't miss it. But otherwise, have a great week, okay? And thanks for coming in. And remember to always use risk control. All right? If you need help with that, please review the video I did, the workshop video I did that's on YouTube from last week. It should be under the playlist, I think like Saturday workshops or something. So you can find it in there. All right, everybody, have a good one. Thanks for coming. I'll put a little music on, and you guys have a great